Ladies and gentlemen, I'll open the meeting. This is February 7, 2017. This is a special board meeting of the Frankfort Plant Board. First thing we'll do is we'll ask Mr. Lynn to call the members present, please.
Member Ludwig.
Present.
Member Green. Member Huey.
Here.
Member Baldwin.
Here.
Member Roche.
Here.
We have 4 members present, so we have a quorum plus. Dr. Green wasn't feeling well and wasn't able to come in this evening. We have, as I say, this is a special board meeting, and of course we're confined to our posted and advertising subjects, but we're here this afternoon to conduct a public hearing regarding 1, increasing rate for classic cable service, 2, increasing rate for bulk cable 1 and bulk cable 2, and 3, reducing rate for HBO, and 4, changing names and speeds for the high-speed internet offerings. So as everybody well knows, the Frankfort Plant Board supplies cable services, cable television programming, so forth to our customers. In order to provide programming, the board has to first buy it from the providers, the vendors that sell channel programming and television programming. Unfortunately, this is done typically by subscriptions that last a period of years, and there is a relatively small number of providers. It's a fairly concentrated industry when it comes to buying cable content. So we have a time in negotiating the best prices we can, and we are a member of a cooperative that represents hundreds of small cable providers, but it's still difficult, and unfortunately, more often than not, we're faced with increasing costs rather than decreasing costs. And with that, I'll mention again, this is a public hearing, so we're going to hear from some folks tonight, I hope. And I'm going to ask the Vice Chairman, Walt Baldwin, if he will conduct the public hearing, and I'll turn it over to him at this time.
Thanks. As the Chairman said, I'm Walt Baldwin. I'll be conducting the public hearing today. With me today are the board members and staff of the Frankfort Electric and Water Plant Board. We're here to receive comments regarding the following: increasing the rate for classic cable, increasing the rate for bulk cable 1 and bulk cable 2, reducing the rate for HBO, changing the names and speeds for high-speed internet offerings. The public hearing was advertised in accordance with the regulations for public notification and appeared in Sunday, January 29, 2017 in the State Journal. This hearing will be conducted informally. This hearing is being conducted voluntarily by the Frankfort Electric and Water Plant Board in order to accept comments on the noted items. Formal rules of evidence will not apply. Both oral and written comments will be accepted. Any and all persons present who wish to make a statement will have an opportunity to speak. If you have a written statement to accompany your oral presentation, a copy of that written statement should be provided prior to your presentation. If you have a lengthy statement, please summarize your comments. Please limit oral comments to 3 minutes. The board may not answer questions, as we do not want to make hasty judgments. We do want public input and involvement, and I hope these standard procedures are not restrictive. The comment period for this hearing will end at the close of business on February 20th, 2017. Written comments received on or before February 20th, 2017 will be accepted and considered. Before we open the floor to comments, John Higginbotham and Harvey Couch will provide a summary.
Thank you. Before I get into an explanation real quick, I wondered if I could just put this out there and see if we could agree on this. We've had some written comments before the public hearing has started, and I anticipate there's some comments here tonight, and I wondered if it would be okay if we could take all of the comments, all the questions, and supply back to anybody that signed up and wanted to provide us with either their regular mail address or their email address, allow us to answer all the questions, provide all the answers, and provide all of that information to everybody in one document. And we would intend to, at least from tonight and the things that we've received previously, we would get it out before the end of business on Friday. And if we have any others that come in, I believe you said that This is open for comments through February 20th.
To the 20th,
Yeah, we would deal with the rest of them as they come in. We may collect, I don't know what the best way to do that. Answer them one at a time and just add them to the bottom of the sheet, so to speak, and everybody continues to get a copy of every question and answer.
Or maybe I could suggest we just have a living document on the website, and then we can, if we get emails from folks, we can point them to that document. And then they
Good
can,
idea. We'll do that. As far as the increase for classic cable, the public hearing proposes to increase the classic cable tier rate, channels 2 through 97, from $60.15 today to $63.50, an increase of $3.35, effective March 1st, 2017. The increase is needed to keep pace with the increases that the plant board pays for its wholesale license fees for this programming, and FPB must remit that payment to the programmer. The number 2, the increase rate for bulk cable 1 and bulk cable 2. The public notice proposes to increase bulk cable 1 from $11.10 per outlet per month to $11.80 per outlet per month, also effective March 1st. Bulk 1 is defined as in the FPB tariff as hotels, typically hotels and KSU dormitories. The increase is needed for the same reason, to keep pace with those increases in the wholesale license fees. Staff also proposes to increase bulk cable 2 from $19.35 per outlet per month to $20.57 per outlet per month, effective March 1st. Bulk cable 2, as defined in the tariff, typically is office complexes with more than 8 outlets. And again, the increase is needed for the same reason. It's a percentage, whatever the percentage of the classic cable tier increase. Off the top of my head, I can't remember the exact percentage. Let's say it's 4%. It's the exact same percentage that we use on bulk cable 1 and bulk cable 2. The third item is to reduce the rate for HBO. The public notice proposes to decrease channels 300 to 307 and also channel 700, the HD version of it. Today is $20 and to decrease it to $18.50. The decrease, a new agreement was executed by the National Cable Television Cooperative that reduced that fee, and so we want to also reduce the wholesale fee, so we want to also reduce the retail fee to the customer and pass that through to them. I'm going to let Harvey talk about the changes in the high-speed internet offerings, and we'll take notes.
John, could I ask you one question just to state for the record?
Yeah.
It's my understanding that none of this increase is being retained by the plant board. It's all passed through because of increased charges we're getting. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Thank you. As far as the changing the names and the speeds of the high-speed internet offerings, we propose to leave all the pricing the same for the existing tiers, increase the download speeds for the current 20 megabit tier to 25 megabits, and the corresponding upload for that tier would move from 2 to 3 megabits per second, and then the 30 megabit current offering would become 50 meg, and the upload would go from 3 to 5. And again, the pricing would stay the same. We would propose to add a 5th tier. That would be a 100 megabit download with 10 megabits upload, and the pricing for that would be $80 a month for residential and $172 for business. And then as far as the naming, we would just propose to, instead of continuing to use the numbers, just have names. So light, standard, premium, ultra, and elite would be the proposed names for those tiers of the internet.
I had one question. Back when we added AMC, it also came with Sundance.
That is correct, yes.
And I know it took a while to add Sundance into the whole thing. Are there any channels that we get that we don't actually offer that have come along, but we haven't added it to the schedule?
So you would mean networks that we would have the rights to that we don't carry today?
Correct.
I would have to look. I don't believe there are any networks that we have the rights to that wouldn't also incur an additional cost.
Oh.
AMC was really unique in that it was one price for all of their channels.
I see.
Pretty much every other agreement, there's a cost associated with the network, and we'll often have rights to networks that we don't carry, but we're not required to launch. And just in
I see.
in the case of not incurring additional expense, we don't normally launch those channels unless there's, you know, lots of customer requests or, you know. Does that answer your question?
I think so.
Okay.
So everything that came with AMC, like Sundance, and if there's anything else, is all in the system at this point?
Yeah, we carry AMC, BBC America, IFC, Sundance, and We. Those are the 5 networks that were
Okay.
tied with that AMC Networks deal. So
Okay,
Awesome.
curious.
And that's, just to be clear, and that's true across the spectrum. We don't have, there aren't any channels that we could offer that wouldn't,
that wouldn't
also incur an additional cost?
Yeah, I would have to double check like every single agreement, but
But that's in
I'm
general, we think
pretty
that's where we are.
confident that's the case. That yeah,
Yeah, we have to check.
yeah.
We'd have to double check to make sure, but it'd probably come with, it is in that respect that it was one price for all of it. But there are 2 costs that would probably come with every single other channel. That first is a license fee, and secondarily would be an equipment fee for the receiver itself. And on the low end, I know Adam's not here today, but the low end on a receiver that we would need at the head end for most of this stuff, it's probably $2,500 to $3,000. On the high end, it's probably $6 or $7 grand that we would need to, not always, but typically we would need on a per channel basis. Oh, yeah, you need to give us an opportunity to take a look. Last year's, yes.
Do we have any public comments?
Yep.
Please approach the podium and state your name.
Hi. My name is Paula Moore, and I'm here to speak about the proposed cable TV increases being considered by you. First, let me say that I am now and continue to be a believer in municipal-owned utilities. I am a lifelong resident of Frankfort and Franklin County and made my decision on where to live now based in part on accessibility to FPB services. I am, however, becoming to feel like I am not very well served by FPB. I realize that costs increase, and I'm not here to necessarily suggest that any and all costs never be passed on to FPB customers. That said, I do not feel that further burdening Classic subscribers with the cost for the increased cost of sports programming is legitimate. My own count of the 88 channels provided in Classic includes at least 12 that are full-time sports channels, over 13%. And this does not include the sports carried on the remaining channels, so there is actually an even larger percentage of sports now provided. Mr. Higginbotham, in an article that appeared in the January 29th issue of the State Journal, attributed the cost increase to an increase in sports channel cost, which now accounts for approximately 1/3 of the current price for a Classic subscriber. I, for one, never watch any of these channels, and I do not think I'm alone. I would suggest that the majority of viewers who do like these particular channels do so as a preferred or HD plus subscriber. Yet there is no increase proposed for those subscribers. Perhaps it is time to carve out those channels entirely dedicated to sports and create their own premium package. This would have the effect of lowering the cost for Classic customers unless they specifically wish to pay for sports-only channels, much like the other premium channels now offered. My cable TV bill now is almost equal to that of my water and electric service combined. All indications are that cable television is losing ground rapidly to other media services, and quite frankly, I would have already joined them if I could access both Louisville and Lexington news stations. I am not interested in hearing that FPB cable is, quote, still cheaper than one of the commercial providers, end quote. That's not the point. FPB should be less expensive since it is municipally owned. But in talking with my neighbors and others in the FPB service area, I detect a real sense of frustration that we are no longer, quote, getting the best deal. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I hope you can find a reasonable solution to this issue than is what is proposed. Thank you.
Any other public comments?
My name is Ken Ryder, and I've been a Frankfort resident for not quite 30 years. Two comments. One, I understand the difficult position the Frankfort Plant Board's in with dealing with the major media conglomerates. And when I first moved to Frankfort, cable bills were a whopping $5 a month. So needless to say, I've experienced several price increases over the years. But one thing that does particularly stick out to me is, and this deals back to the AMC price increase, I believe, last year. And there was, I think, $6 a month proposed increase, and they said we were getting more channels. However, we did not gain any extra channels that were available in HD, and particularly something along the lines of BBC America. So I want to reflect and reinforce the previous commenters, getting the best value possible and seeing if whether we know that these price increases are a fact of life, but can we extract more value from the price increases that we are being, you as an entity are forcing upon the plant board itself? And two, with these consistent price increases, how has that affected the subscriber base for the Frankfort Plant Board? Are you starting to lose subscribers because of the consistent price increases? Frankfort's a community that's very dependent on state government retirees and active employees have been facing flat salary increases for the past decade. So how has that affected the subscriber base? And if the subscriber base starts to erode, how will that affect net income for the future oncoming years looking for the long distance term? So if you get a decrease in the amount of money that comes in, of what benefit is it to the plant board to continually passing along the price increases and start genuinely looking at starting to cut offerings? And just, if they say, and I would presume, and correct Mr. Higginbotham, NBC Universal was one of the primary drivers of this recent price increase. If it's just basic NBC Universal channels start cutting, and will that ever enter into the conversation? I realize they force you to do it in packages, but quite frankly, between the broadcast royalty payments to both Louisville and Lexington stations, maybe potentially look at the possibility of dropping the Louisville stations. I realize since it's being the state capital, but it's always been Louisville and Lexington broadcast channels. You never added Paducah or Bowling Green or anything from the western part of the state. So I would encourage you to strongly consider adding those as options to your subscriber base. Thank you.
Anyone else? Don't be shy. Well, if that's all of our public comments, John, Harvey, would either one of you like to maybe have a general, I don't want to put you on the spot, would you like to have a general response to talk about the constraints we're under about with the cable deals and which channels we have to put on which stations and how they're bundled, just to speak to some of that flexibility around what our options are with segmenting channels into smaller groups of packages where it's more a la carte?
I appreciate that. It's one of the harder things that cable operators have to deal with. The vast majority of our programming deals we buy through a cooperative made up of small independent cable operators around the country, about 850 members that total around 22, 23 million subscribers. And the way that the agreements are structured, the folks that own the programming have the intellectual property, and they own it, or they are paying rights on it, and they get to dictate to us as a cable operator, and we in turn have to dictate to you exactly how the packaging is done of this, of the programming. There are only a handful of big programmers out there anymore. I think that 8 or 9, just depends, that own literally 90-some% of the market, all the networks that you could think of, just about. And most of them have components of sports channels within their packages that they own. So we see ESPN, Disney, ABC all as one unit, all as one agreement that has maybe 15 or 16 networks on it. But included in that is ESPN, ESPN2, ESPNU, ESPN News. And to be able to get to some of the non-sports programming, you're required to carry on expanded basic cable the most penetrated and most subscribed to level of service, the sports programming, so you can get to Disney, so you can get to ABC, it's not called ABC Family anymore, Freeform, thank you. The same with NBC Universal. They own another 15 or 20 networks. And to be able to get to MSNBC or USA or Sci-Fi, you have to take NBC Sports. The same with Fox Cable. That agreement would be before the board here in the next couple of weeks. But to get FX or National Geographic or FXX, you have to take Fox Sports 1. And they require us to package it in that way. Now, over the course of the last couple of years, our agreements have been structured in a way where we might be able to pare down the offering a little bit and but not offer the mostly sports programming. But the tough thing is for us is to come up with a package that we can meet all the criteria of all the agreements, because you'd be surprised to find that in a Fox Cable agreement it says that if you offer ESPN, you have to offer Fox Sports 1 as well. So to find a pared down offering for us to be able to hit every benchmark and to fulfill every part of an obligation within those agreements is pretty difficult for us to do, quite honestly. And then you're penalized by the programmer if you sell too many of them, too many of that package. You pay a higher rate. And so there's a real disincentive for cable operators to put those packages together. And there's also a disincentive for the cable operator to sell the package because of the penalties that come with it. That's something that we're going to look at now that as we have finished the last of our big programming agreements over the course of the last 3 years. The rights are similar. In most of those agreements where we can potentially offer an intermediate package, something above limited cable, above channel 30, but something maybe less than classic cable. That's just something we're going to need to take a look at and figure out a way to hit all the legal requirements and then come back through the board to see if that's something they would want to offer. That process is going to take us a while to do that. And that's something that we're committed to do between now and the beginning of our next fiscal year in June. Whether we can achieve it or not, I don't know. There's so many roadblocks to it. They make it so difficult to offer those kind of things. We're going to try. As far as, I want to answer real quick, we'll get the answers out to you as far as the broadcasts. Great questions. We're going to be asking our customers more later. All of our Lexington and Louisville TV stations come up for renewal starting in October. And we have about 90 days to get those agreements done from October to the end of the calendar year. And we're going to be talking a lot more over the course of the next several months, asking customers, should we keep both Lexington and Louisville? Can we afford the renewals? The renewals are going to be even more expensive than the $12 that we pay today, that you pay today. Has the time come for us to pick and choose and maybe not have duplicates anymore? From a strict legal perspective, we cannot carry anything but Lexington or Louisville. We cannot carry outside of those markets. So we can't carry Cincinnati, we can't carry Bowling Green, we can't carry Paducah because of the way that the federal law is written. But I'll get you that answer in writing as well.
Are we very blessed when we use down municipal comparisons on the handout?
Yes, sir. I'll go into more detail in the written answers.
Great. Thanks, John. We had a couple of people come in. Are there any other public comments or? No?
Just in regards to cable?
Right, we're limited to the topic of the special meeting today, so that would just be in comments would be in particular to the 4 items on the agenda, which are increasing the rate for classic cable, increasing the rate for bulk cable 1 and bulk cable 2, reducing the rate for HBO, and changing the names and speed for high-speed internet offerings. If no one has comments on those topics, we'll close the public comment period, and I'll hand the meeting back over to the chair.
All right, good meeting. I'm always impressed with the quality of the comments that we receive, both written and oral. A lot of food for thought, and we struggle with these subjects on an ongoing basis, because we all have the same objective, and that is to get these services as reasonably priced as we can get them. With that, this being a special meeting, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do we have a second? All in
Second.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. The special hearing stands adjourned.
It's always a pleasure to